Thanks for tuning in to Murder News, the true crime cult for the latest breaking news, murdering memes, TV reviews, podcast recommendations, and all things spooky. We want to invite you to join our cult for the holidays, where we'll sit around baking Christmas cookies while listening to our favorite true crime podcasts, and then go feed those cookies to some baby goats, because baby goats love Christmas cookies. I'm television's Aurora Katie.
Hey, I'm your online murder friend, Angelina. Cults are no fun alone, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell all of your true crime friends to join the commune at murdermurder.news. This is the Week in True Crime. At 15 years old, Gregory Ramos called 911 one afternoon after school. He told the operator that he came home to find his house ransacked, the family car running in the driveway, and his mother missing, all while his stepfather was out of town. Detectives quickly noticed something was amiss with this Central Florida teen's story, but after hours of questioning, things started to come together. Gregory was interested in crime and was something of a police enthusiast. He learned about crime scenes in criminal justice class in high school and was a member of the Orange City Police Explorers. While being questioned by Sergeant A.J. Pagliari, Gregory said he too wanted to be a homicide detective one day. Then he confessed to murdering his mother, 46-year-old Gail Clevenger, after an argument about a bad grade that he had received in school. He waited until midnight and then went into her room and strangled her to death. By his estimate, it took him 30 minutes, Detective Mike Chitwood said. No sign of remorse whatsoever. He was a soulless individual who thought he was the smartest person in the room, and to watch how cold and callous and calculating he was, I think was probably the most shocking thing to all of us. Next, Gregory called a couple older buddies from school, then 17-year-old Dylan Keglarek and Brian Porras, to come over and help him bury his mother's body. They used a wheelbarrow to get the body into the family car and drove out to River City Church in Holy Hill, where they buried her near the fire pit. The friends then staged a robbery, taking some electronics and a firearm from the home. In the morning, Gregory went to school like normal, preparing to make his 911 call that afternoon. He says that it was a preemptive self-defense thing because he thought at some point she was going to kill him in his life, so I might as well just kill her now, Sergeant Pagliari said. He says that she had been abusive to him in the past, and I believe that's what justified, in his mind, why he did what he did. When all of this happened in 2018, a grand jury indicted Gregory Ramos. He was charged as an adult with first-degree murder. Keglarek and Porras were also charged as adults with being accessories to capital felony after the fact. Now, Gregory has pleaded guilty and entered a plea agreement on Wednesday. He'd been facing life in prison, but the plea agreement calls for just 45 years in prison, with the time he's already spent in jail counted as time served, and probation for life, with an opportunity to review the case after 25 years. He's also pleaded guilty to abuse of a dead body and tampering with evidence. His official sentencing will take place on January 22, 2021, in front of Circuit Judge Sandra C. Upchurch.
If you're like us and you've been relentlessly following all the murders and mysterious deaths at Fort Hood this year, you may also be aware that there have been some disappearances and equally mysterious deaths at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. 21-year-old Army paratrooper Enrique Roman-Martinez was stationed at Fort Bragg when he was reported missing on May 23rd while on a camping trip with his friends. Enrique was camping with a group of 7 soldiers in South Core Banks at Cape Lookout, which is a barrier island in North Carolina. The group arrived at the campsite on May 22nd for Memorial Day weekend, driving 2 cars with all their camping equipment. According to the soldiers, they all went to bed that night at midnight, and when they woke up on May 23rd, Enrique was not at camp and left his glasses, which he desperately needed to see, his t-shirt, phone, and wallet behind. The identities of most of the soldiers are being kept private from the public, but there are reportedly conflicting stories from the unknown members of the group. Some have said they woke up to Enrique simply missing. Some have said he left in the middle of the night alone on foot wearing only his blue shorts. They also said they feared he had gotten up in the middle of the night and could have been injured. Supposedly, they spent the next day trying to find him, but they waited until 7:30 p.m. on the 23rd to call 911 to report him missing. Here's the 911 call from one of the soldiers, Alex Becerra.
Carter County 911, what's the address to your emergency?
We are on Cape Lookout. We are at Cape Lookout Island, and between mile marker 46 and 47 by the jetties. And we lost our friend. We don't know where he has gone, and we're kind of worried that something happened to him.
Where's the last spot you saw him at?
So we all went to bed last night, and when we woke up, he was not here, and we've been looking for him all day. We were trying to find the park ranger or their offices or anything, and so we went all the way to the ferry, and we found that we needed to dial 911. We weren't sure if that's what we had to do out here. So
yeah, we can get Park Service in contact with you, sir. Are you on Corebanks or Shackleford? Are you like close to Cape Lookout?
We're on Cape Lookout.
Okay. Oh, I see where you're at. Okay. All right. And how long has he been missing?
Then we woke up I woke up at 8:30, and we've been looking for him all day. We weren't sure if we might be afraid that he might have hurt himself, or we're really not sure.
And when was the last time you saw him?
So we all went to bed at 12:03. That's when we all decided to go to bed, and that is the last time we saw him.
Okay, and does he have any physical, medical, or mental conditions that we need to be aware of?
He did. He wasn't diagnosed, but he did have suicidal tendencies.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what kind of clothing he was wearing at all?
So he was just, when we locked on, he was just wearing blue shorts.
Blue shorts. Okay, and was anybody last seen with him, or do you think he went off by himself?
Oh, he had to have gone off by himself.
Okay.
Like I said, we all went to sleep.
Okay, and he would have left on foot?
Yes, that's the only way he had to. We only have 2 cars, and they're both still here.
Okay. Do you know of anywhere he may have gone on the island at all?
No clue. This is our first time being here, so
I gotcha.
We have no clue.
Do you know if he took any personal items with him?
We searched his tent, and everything is still there. He even left his phone in his wallet.
Okay, so he doesn't have any trackable technology?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Do you know if he might have any weapons with him or anything?
Negative.
Okay. And then, did he leave any notes, letters, or threats or anything?
We have looked through everywhere, and it's
nothing.
Not his phone. We don't have the password, so we can't look on that, but he has not.
This call is a bit disturbing because Alex seems unusually calm for someone who has not been able to locate his friend for almost 24 hours and believes him to be possibly suicidal or injured. It's important to note that Enrique's sister, Griselda Martinez, has been fighting to get answers for her brother's death and has stated that she did not believe he was suicidal and had so many things he was excited about to look forward to in the future. Alex's version of the story was also immediately called into question when 2 park rangers in uniform said they saw the group around 1 to 2 p.m. on May 23rd, the day he came up missing, and asked the group to move their cars that were parked inappropriately at the beach. The group agreed to move their vehicles, and according to the rangers, they made no mention of their missing friend. Once reported missing, a 10-day search was launched to find Enrique, and the Army announced that human remains had washed ashore, in which dental records confirmed that they were his. At the time, it was also announced that the investigation was being treated as a homicide, though no further details about the cause of death or suspects in his death were announced. Well, this week, it was reported that Enrique was actually decapitated, and his head was the only part of his remains that were found. The autopsy found evidence of multiple chop injuries, and his jaw had been broken in at least 2 places. A toxicology report was also done that showed there were no drugs in his system. The Army has still not released the names of the soldiers camping with Enrique, and it does not appear that any arrests have been made at this time. If you're feeling a little bit angry about the way this case is being handled and would like to help fight for justice for Enrique, here are some things you can do. We've linked to a petition calling for justice for Enrique, and there's also a GoFundMe for Enrique's family. They need help paying for their legal expenses. And as the family's attorney mentioned in an interview that we've linked in the details below, you can also contact your representative and mention that we still don't have arrests for many murders and mysterious deaths at Fort Hood and Fort Bragg this year. Enrique's family and so many others are not getting answers they deserve to help bring closure to their loved ones' murders. Please take a minute to sign the petition for Enrique and call or email your representatives if you have some extra time. If you would like to know more about Enrique's case, we've included links to our sources, including Military Murder Podcast, which does a pretty big, in-depth dive and also has the full 911 call, and has also covered pretty much all the mysterious deaths at the bases this year. We've also included the Army Times, People, and CNN in the details below.
This week, we're watching Selena on Netflix. The first part of the series has 9 episodes which cover the tragic life story of Selena Quintanilla, the queen of Tejano music. The star was known for her talent, beauty, and fashion as she rose to fame in the 90s for songs like Como la Flor and Bidi Bidi Bom Bom. Unfortunately, Selena's life was cut short as she was tragically murdered by her friend and former manager, Yolanda Saldivar, when she was just 23 years old in 1995. We could not be more excited for a show about Selena, and we want to hear your thoughts about the show in the details below.
So I haven't had a chance to watch this yet. It's very, very high up on my list because I'm a huge Selena fan, and also some of my friends in Mexico, where I used to live in Rosarito, are in the show as extras, and I'm so excited to get to see them.
So you get to watch for them.
Yes, shout out to Miguel, and also one of my friends that we've had on the show, Teresa Mala. She is a Selena impersonator. Oh, wow. And she was not down in Mexico where she normally lives for the time that they were shooting, so she did not get to be cast as an extra.
That's too bad.
But girl, we still love you. We are so excited to have Brooke Summers with us from this week's favorite podcast, A-Side B-Side. A-Side B-Side is a podcast for lovers of true crime and forgotten media. Each week, Brooke shares a true crime story, and her co-host Adam shares stories of lesser-known historic media. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brooke.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. Your podcast is so wonderful. I love you and Adam's dynamic.
Thank you so much. Just a brief aside, Adam and I were former morning show co-hosts like 13 years ago, and we've been really good friends ever since. And the opportunity to do a podcast came up, and I said, I want to do a podcast. And he said, whatever you do, I want to do it. And I said, okay.
I love it. Well, that actually clears up my first question, which was how the two of you met. So that's very cool. I did know that you have a background in radio. So with that history, what inspired both of you to start this podcast, mixing these two topics?
Well, I have been a true crime lover since I was a kid. It's my mom's fault, really, because we would watch, America's Most Wanted. What was it, Friday nights, and
yes.
And that's where I got my start in my love for true crime. And Adam, I've been in radio ever since, and he's not been in radio, and he was kind of looking for an outlet, and so he said, let's podcast together. And I told him I wanted to do a podcast, and he said, well, let's do something together. And I said, but you don't like true crime. And he was like, yeah, but we can kind of mix and match. It doesn't have to all be one thing. And I said, that's true. So that's kind of where our A-side, B-side comes from. With the nostalgia, it's kind of like a cassette tape. You have the A-side, which is one thing, and then you flip the cassette, and the B-side is something totally different.
I love that. And have you won him over at all? Is he sort of like a little bit into true crime now?
Yeah, I will give him credit, because I know most men, when it comes to true crime, are not on board at all, and they don't want to talk about it. But he really does tend to get into the cases, and he asks really great questions, questions that maybe when you're trying to present a case, you just want to lay out all the facts, and I may forget something. And he does ask really good questions to kind of say, hey, wait, hold on, stop. Well, what about this little? And I tease him, because I always say, you like to get into the minutia of things.
Yes.
But sometimes that's really needed, because someone may say, well, what about this little piece or this little fact? What happened? And so that's where he really shines.
That's awesome. And how did you get into true crime originally? Was there a murder in your hometown, a case that's always haunted you? What is your origin?
So aside from the America's Most Wanted, back home in Buffalo, we had the bike path rapist. And when I was growing up, that was the huge story. And he wasn't caught until years even after I moved away from home. So growing up and hearing those stories of the bike path rapist and being a young woman and not wanting to go out alone, it kind of really got me into like, what is the psychology behind why these people do these things?
Right. Yeah, that is the interesting part. And that's so interesting. I've never heard of him. I'm going to have to look that up.
You'll love it because the way they caught him is just genius. You'll just go, yes.
Awesome. And have you covered that on your show?
Not yet. That is one that I would like to cover.
Please do. And let me know when you do. Tag us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you've had some really amazing episodes. I really enjoyed your episode on the also lesser known Hungarian serial killer Bela Kiss, and the episode on Mary Morris. Out of all the cases you've researched, which one has been your favorite?
Oh gosh. The Mary Morrises were so cool. And when we say cool in true crime, it's not like we're like, oh, that's cool because someone died. It's just, you're like, right. This is it enraptures you, it engrosses you. And the one that has just stolen my heart, I guess you could say, it's episode 9. It's Surviving Bare Naked, because I try to make the two sides mesh in the titles. And it's the story of Terry Jandusa, who is a survivor, and her husband, her ex-husband, he beat her. He put her in a garbage can. He filled it with snow and stuck her in a storage locker. And she was there for 36 hours and she survived. Wow. And it's just, she is a real life superhero to me.
Survivor stories are probably my very favorite. Like, I'm a huge fan of I Survived. Like, I just get so enthralled with it. It's amazing what humans can do and what we're capable of. And it's like, I don't know that I have that in me.
I know, that's what I do. I'm like, oh my gosh, would I have been able to do this? I don't know if I'm that strong.
Right? And it's like, wow, you really want to live. Like, it's amazing.
I know.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you today. Can you let our viewers know where they can find you on social media?
Yes. Okay. So we have a brand new Twitter. It's A-Side B-Side Pod. We're also on Facebook. It's A-Side B-Side Podcasts with an S. And then on Instagram, A-Side_B-Side_podcast.
Perfect. And be sure to subscribe to A-Side B-Side wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. Stop what you're doing. What are your plans for next Thursday? Are you a trivia buff? Are you the queen of random serial killer facts? Do you also really love the work the Innocence Project does and would love to help someone who was wrongfully convicted get home to their family?
If so, we have the event for you. We are hosting a true crime trivia night and benefit for the Innocence Project. Next Thursday, December 17th, join Murder News and the host of Yellow Tape Trivia and the Dialogue podcast, Rebecca Sebastian, for a night of classic pub trivia, safely at home on Zoom.
You can join by yourself or with a group of up to 5. If you don't want to play alone, you can also make some new true crime friends and join in a group on our Zoom call. We'll have categories like Rip from the Headlines and Cult Favorites.
The event is just $5 to attend, and all proceeds go to the Innocence Project. We're including a link to the event in the details below. We can't wait to test your true crime knowledge and crown the reigning queen or king of true crime. We love reading your comments, so long as you aren't a troll, and we want to thank Mystery Avalanche for commenting on last week's video about Alexis Sharkey's disappearance. They mentioned that they had looked into Alexis's case and are also wondering if Alexis and Tom were actually married.
And I actually want to give a special shout out to all of our trolls. Thanks for your watch time and comments that helped us get monetized on YouTube just this last week. It's your disdain that helps make us money to keep making more videos that you can hate. If you really want to troll us, come join us at Trivia Night and tell us how much you dislike us while supporting the Innocence Project.
Thanks so much for tuning into This Week in True Crime with Murder News. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up, and tell all of your true crime friends.
Help support Murder News by signing up for our commune at murdermurder.news, and your $5 a month sponsorship helps us keep the true crime lights on. It helps us produce our weekly show and help support our amazing writers that keep you up to date with the latest breaking news every day on murdermurder.news. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. See you next week.